Are you looking to create more professional looking content? I've been testing out the new Insta360 Link 2 for the last month, and I've been loving it. It's got a 4K resolution sensor and it is AI powered, which means it does a lot of really cool tracking features. So as I'm talking and moving around, it can track my face. It can also track my body if I'm standing up straight. I'm going to walk you through a detailed review and tell you about my favorite features and what my recommendation is if you're looking for a better camera to look more professional. Let's talk about the specs on the new Insta360 Link 2. So it has a resolution up to 4K, which is pretty awesome. The sensor is a 1/2 inch sensor. The 1/2 inch sensor is larger than a lot of the webcams out on the market, which allows it to capture more light and detail, which is really nice. I talked about the AI tracking. We'll get into that and what that means. It also has a microphone on the very top of it. The microphone has 3 separate modes that features AI noise canceling, which is really cool. The focus is very snappy, as we've talked about, so I can move things in front of it, move it back, and the focus between the objects is really quick. I'm going to take you through the webpage and I'll show you some of the features. I'm on the Insta360 website. You can see there's 2 different versions of the Link. You have the Link 2 and the Link 2C. Really, the main difference is one has a gimbal and one doesn't. The 2 has the gimbal. That's the version that I have. That allows the AI tracking to be a little bit more dynamic. The 2C is the lower cost model. It's $150 versus $200. And it has some AI tracking, but obviously without a gimbal, it doesn't have as large of a field of view. Specifications are the same in each of the versions. It's mainly the gimbal versus the non-gimbal version. Again, 4K resolution, AI noise canceling, 3 different modes to cancel out noises, which is pretty cool. Tracking and framing works really well. I'll walk you through how that works. If you have a tripod, it's sold separately. The tripod allows you to flip the 2 into portrait mode, which allows you to still record in the same 4K 30 frames per second. There's also gesture control. I haven't really tried that out because I haven't been standing too far back. I sit at my desk when I do this, but you do have the option of turning on a whiteboard mode, also zooming in and zooming out and turning on and off the AI tracking with your hands. There's also dedicated software. I'll walk you through how to set all of that up. But really the main differences here is the size of the sensor. This Link 2 has a 1/2 inch sensor. Most webcam sensors are smaller than that, which pulls in more light, allows the image to be crisper, a little bit better defined, and the focus works really well. The focus is really quick and snappy. Let's do a quick unboxing here. I actually got too excited and I unboxed it without recording, but here we have the Link 2. It comes with this clip. This clip is what is used to then put it onto the laptop. You plug that on there and you have the gimbal that is sitting on top of that plug. When you want to do it in portrait mode, this clamp opens up and you would then use the thread to attach it to something like this, which is a tripod. And then this opens up. And so you have it essentially sitting on its side like this recording. So you can tell from the software, it is not set up right now to record in portrait mode. So that's why you see it like this. It's a setting in the software. You turn it on and then this would be right side up. Hey guys, please subscribe. It would help me tremendously. Thanks a lot. I'm going to walk you quickly through the Insta360 Link Controller app. We have a couple things. Bottom left-hand corner, we have the resolution that you're recording at. Right now, I have the portrait resolution disabled, so you won't see those options show up here. When you do enable it, it is just part of the scrolling down here. So you'll see it below the landscape section. You have the AI tracking, which is what controls it, tracking my face. And that is coupled with the smart composition over here on the right, which is really cool. It'll tell the Link to what part of your body to include in the actual shot. So if I have head here, as I move back, it's going to continue to zoom in on my face because it's prioritizing keeping my face in the frame. And so as I get closer, it is going to do the same thing. The same is true of half body and whole body. So if I was standing up straight, it would track me and make sure that it zoomed out enough for my entire body. You have manual adjustments here as well. So you have the opportunity to move it manually. You can also zoom in and out. These things are handled automatically with AI tracking and smart composition. The effects is all your standard types of effects on a camera. You have brightness, contrast, saturation. HDR is cool. HDR is helpful. I have that on. It just makes the image look a little bit better with colors. And then you have some options for presets to save how you've changed the bounces up here. You can put in backgrounds on the camera, which is interesting, which is helpful because your camera is controlling this and no longer the app like a Zoom or like a Microsoft Teams. You have blur and bokeh. The interesting thing about the bokeh effect is that you need a pretty powerful laptop to run this. So I was pretty surprised. I have a couple-year-old MacBook Pro with the latest Intel graphics card at the time. It's telling me that I need something that's pretty significant. For a MacBook, you really need one of the latest ones that has a Apple Silicon M1 for newer series chip in it for it to actually work properly, which kind of stinks, but it is what it is. There's a makeup filter that only works at lower resolution than 4K, so I can't mess with that here. I find that as a weird concept, just in general. Be happy for what you look like, guys. Yeah, don't try to be what you're not. I don't know. It's a weird concept to me. And then you also have some filters down here and of filters to make a huge difference. The image is slightly. You also then have gestures. So you can do AI tracking, whiteboard, and zoom. So with AI tracking, you can turn that on and off with your hand. Whiteboard, you can turn that on and off with your hand, doing the peace sign. And then zoom, you can do that by making an L with your fingers and then moving the L up and down. We can try that out. L, move it up, it zooms in. I move it down, it's going to zoom out. So it's not foolproof, I've noticed. It also decides when it wants to do it and when it doesn't. So I think that'll probably get better as they provide some more software updates and stuff. But I've noticed that you have to have your hand very visible. You can't move it a ton when you're trying to do the hand gestures and stuff. In concept, very cool. In reality, it's not always, I'll say, a foolproof solution to doing that. So honestly, when I record, I'm at my computer. And so I just do it with my mouse when I set this stuff up. You also, as I mentioned, have a microphone on the top of the 360 Link 2. And so that controls a couple of different audio modes. So you can turn on voice focus, voice suppression, or music balance. You can read up on those for more detail, but voice focus is the default. Voice suppression is if you're in a loud room and it needs to quiet down everything that's not your voice to make you heard a little bit better. And then music balance is if there are other sounds that you want people to be able to hear, not necessarily suppress. It will equal it out so that it can hear your voice plus whatever that other source is. So perfect for things like if you're streaming or playing video games and you want to play some background music as you talk, you can put that in music balance mode and it will be able to pick up some of that music in the background while you talk. Yeah, and that's about it. I've enjoyed and that's it. So pretty simple app. Some of the features you just have to test out and get a little used to, but I've noticed everything works pretty well. I haven't had a ton of problems with the app crashing, the camera becoming unresponsive, though that's happened a few times. It could also be just a matter of I'm running 4K recording on these things, and it's not, like I mentioned, my MacBook isn't the newest version. And so there's obviously some challenges when you don't have the latest chips and you do have the latest software running AI and 4K streaming and stuff like that. But regardless of that, I've really enjoyed the Insta360 Link 2 camera. It's worked really well for my specific use case, which is making content on my computer and also joining work calls on Zoom and on Microsoft Teams, Google Meet. All of those, it looks great. Unfortunately, most of those only allow you to record in 720p, so you can't even record in 1080. So a 4K camera really is going to make a huge difference there. But for the actual content that I've recorded, it does look good. And when I am on those Zoom calls, the image is sharp and it definitely looks better than just your typical 720 or 1080 camera. Hey guys, hopefully this Insta360 Link 2 review was helpful. I'm not a full-time YouTuber. I do this in my spare time. I don't have all the cuts and all the professional photography and B-roll and all of that stuff. I'm trying to get better at it. But what I wanted to do is just take you through what I appreciated about the Insta360 Link 2 and give you some helpful advice on if you are the target market for this. So with that, I would rate this as probably a 9 out of 10 for my purposes, which is just creating content at my desk in my little laboratory, my YouTube studio, which is just my office with some blackout shades and a couple lights. I also use it for business, for work calls on Zoom and Google Meet and Microsoft Teams. So if you're looking for a better camera for those things, or if you're starting to get into creating your own content on YouTube or even on social media like TikTok and Instagram, and you're just looking for a more professional looking video that shoots in 4K and doesn't break the bank, definitely check out the Insta360 Link and Link 2C. The lowest cost one is the 2C at $150, and the one that I have, InstaLink 2, that is $200 with the gimbal. So I recommend them. Definitely check them out. If there's anything else you wish I would have covered in this, please let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. Hit the subscribe button if you can.